turning on the Wi-Fi like Obama to a white guys. Temper in the center of winter filled with some white lies. But that's politics, gets colder than the wildest thing.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Six with Ian and Thomas. This week, compared to last, was kind of boring. Wasn't much happening. I will say that the one thing that I wanted to start with was, congratulations to Manchester City for finally clinching their title.
Right. Yeah, I just think it's hilarious that Manchester United kept them from clinching the title last weekend, and then basically let them have it this weekend when they lost
to West Brom, who was in 20th place. Not a good showing for Jose Mourinho and his Red Devils, but it basically allowed Manchester City to finally take home what they were eventually going to take home from the start.
Yeah. It was going to happen eventually.
We've been talking about it, this entire time we've been recording these podcasts, and it has just been absolutely destructive how they've just torn through the entire season. They kind of had a bit of a bump the last 2 weeks. Their loss to Man United, getting knocked out of Champions League by Liverpool. But they came back, won their match, and Manchester United lost enough that they're officially champions of the Premier League. And
it's just that's one of those things that they said that after they didn't clinch 2 weeks ago. They said the next week said that that they needed to win and Manchester United needed to lose. So the one thing that needed to happen with West Brom win was absolutely it was just insane. I watched the game and I watched the goal go in and I was like, oh my god, yes.
It was the 76th minute, yes. It was later on in the game. Okay. It was one of those. Moments,
it was a late goal.
It was one of those moments that you're like, all right, there it is. It's over. Season's over.
Yeah, I mean, I was. Yeah.
At this point, these games.
I just thought that West Brom was going to hold United to a 0-0 draw.
Oh, neither did I.
I would have been excited about that.
I don't think that would have been fantastic as well. Yeah, at this point, the rest of the season is just filling out where people are on the table. The big story that I have that kind of hurts me to say is at this point Chelsea's fighting to get back into Champions League for next season. They are currently in a position for Europa
right
League,
now they're in 5th place.
Which is not where Chelsea fans want them to be. They are 8 points behind Tottenham in 4th. It's not looking good for Chelsea right now. They're gonna have to fight and fight hard to get into their spot. And then the rest of the season for the bottom half of the team, the bottom 3 teams are sitting at 28 points, and 24 points, which is not. I mean, the 17th is at 33, so it's not looking good for those teams. There's always a chance. I mean, West Brom just beat Manchester United. Anything can happen. And the rest of the season we'll play that out and we'll see as it goes.
Well, I think with the West Brom, they got 24 points with 34 games played. So they've got 4 matches. So even if they win the next 4 matches, that's 12 points. That gives them 36. That's still not going to get them. It's not going to do it. They just don't have enough time.
Yeah.
To earn the points they need to not be relegated. They've already started getting teams from the Championship. Wolverhampton has officially been promoted at this
Congratulations.
point.
I haven't seen them in a while.
Congratulations. It's been... Well, they dropped down to League One.
At one point, yeah. They were down pretty far.
So they got dropped from the Premier League, then they got dropped from Championship. And they've battled their way back. So congratulations, good for them. We'll see them in the fall for some Champions League or some Premier League fixtures.
Yeah. Another congratulations to Bayern Munich. I believe this was actually a couple weeks ago when they clinched it. But they have claimed the
I think it's been a week or two.
The Bundesliga champions for their 27th time in club history. The other teams weren't even close. They were like 20 points. I think Schalke was the closest team in second, and they were 20 points behind. Which, I mean, they basically
27th time.
Yeah, Bayern Munich has won 27.
That's insane.
Well, I mean, basically in the history of the Bundesliga, that's what has happened. It's either been Bayern Munich or Dortmund that has won. You know, every once in a while, a team will come in and shake the league up and, you know, mix it up, but it doesn't happen very often that a team does that. But I believe Bayern Munich is currently at 75 points, and Schalke in second was at 55 points when I last checked.
Yep.
I mean, basically,
that's what I'm looking at right now.
They tore through the league better than Manchester City did. Which is...
Well, there's only 6 matches out of 30 that they didn't win. They have 3 draws and 3 losses.
I mean, and only 3 losses in a season is not bad. And they're still in Champions League. You know, so they're still fighting for that.
Yep.
I got one more congratulations, and this time it's for FC Barcelona. They played Valencia about a week ago, and they broke a record in La Liga for the longest unbeaten streak, 39 games.
I saw that. That was insane.
They recently played Celta Vigo. It was a 2-2 draw, and extended their unbeaten streak to 40 games. This is extending back to last season in 2017. Their unbeaten streak in the league reached back to 2017.
That's insane.
They have not lost a game.
That's outstanding. That's pretty awesome.
All year in the Liga, which is just ridiculous.
Wow.
And obviously they hope to, you know, keep going and push us even further, because the previous mark was 38, set by Real Sociedad. And I remember we met the other day, and, you know, I was showing you Barcelona has basically a Manchester City lead in La Liga as well. They currently have 83 points, while Atletico Madrid is the next closest with 71. I don't know what's going on this year, but you know the 3 main leagues that people look at, which is England, Spain, and Germany, have had runaway winners. Yeah. I don't think Barcelona has clinched it yet. I think they're very close. But it'll be exciting to see what happens with that. Other than that, there wasn't much news going on with games. In fact, this week of Premier League games actually hasn't ended yet. They end tomorrow, or I guess today when it goes up. But I read something just now as kind of a funny little moment. Apparently, before the second leg of the Champions League match for Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp told the team, "Yeah, you guys can train naked in front of the reporters, because nobody's going to be watching you anyways. Everybody's going to be looking at Mo Salah." And he was absolutely correct. Wow. You know, nobody was really paying attention to the rest of the team. You know, literally they could have trained naked and people wouldn't have noticed.
Wow. That's funny.
He is just destroying, you know, every team he plays right now, and it is devastating. But it's also, you know, good to see that. And, you know, obviously Liverpool has been kind of struggling the last couple of years. You know, they lost one of their stars in Coutinho, and then, you know, they picked up Salah, and he
you know, I was one of the guys who was really worried when Felipe Coutinho left. You know, what's that going to do to Liverpool? And I'm watching Liverpool play now with, you know, Sadio Mane's back in the goals, Roberto Firmino, and of course, you know, Mohamed Salah, who is just destroying, you know, every defense he comes across. I don't know right now where does Felipe Coutinho fit if he had stayed. Where does he fit? You know, and I'm not slighting him at all. I'm not saying there's not a place for him. It's just, you know, it's one of those things that I thought we were going to, you know, I thought Liverpool was really going to miss this guy. Mm-hmm. I thought when he goes to Barcelona, there's going to be a big hole.
I think everybody did.
And the hole's not there. It's just not there.
It was plugged up and then
vacuum sealed with that top.
Yeah, Mo Salah literally came in, plugged it up, and then kept chugging forward. You know, he didn't take a break with that. he took it further than and then, speaking of Sadio Mane back in, you sent me a kind of fun little fact about him the other day. He scored a goal against Bournemouth, and that made him the highest scoring Senegalese player in Premier League history. Obviously that's kind of a specific fact, but it's still very interesting, to hear that, they've got Mo Salah, who's, Egyptian, and I believe he's breaking records for Egypt right now, and Sadio Mane is breaking records for Senegal. They are.
And Bobby Firmino is breaking records for Brazil.
I think Neymar has all those.
Not in the Premier League.
That's true. The rest of them, Neymar probably has.
That's the thing, because you got, because you got, Sadio Mane with the highest scoring Premier League Senegalese player. Mohamed Salah is the highest scoring African player, the highest scoring Egyptian player in the Premier League. And you have Bobby Firmino is the highest scoring Brazilian player in Premier League.
That's crazy.
So the three of those are Liverpool. It's the Liverpool front three right now. The guys that are really making things happen for the Reds. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. It's exciting. Yeah. It's been a really exciting season. Even though the top five have been kind of locked in place since Christmas. For the last 3 months, the top five have been kind of set. There's been a little bit of wiggle here and there. Well, the City's been where they're at, I think, since day one. But 2, 3, 4, and 5, and even like 6 and 7. There's some movement there, but it's pretty much the same. The
teams
team.
In those lists have been the
bottom
same.
Three. And the bottom three, kind of the same thing. And the bottom five, the same thing. People up and down. But even with that, the fact that there's not a lot of change in the top five or the bottom five teams, and even the middle, for that matter, it's still been a really exciting season.
Oh, yes.
There has been a lot of good soccer being played. High scoring matches. Last weekend, everything was so competitive. 2-2, 3-2. Just really good competitive football matches. So it's been exciting, and that's one of the things I really love about this league, and the way that it's played. In the Bundesliga, it is set up very similar, and even the Spanish Premier Division. And it's so fun because down to the last minute. Okay, we have a champion right now. They're still, they still have 5 matches to play. But they've scored enough points that they are the champions, and that's cool. But there's still, every game still matters for everybody else. You can't knock City out of the championship right now. They are the league champions, but everybody else, that it's still up for grabs. Really,
the people right after that, like I said before, they're still fighting for a spot in European play. Whether or not they're going to be in Champions League or Europa League next season. At this point, it's looking like those are kind of like it's winding down towards the end of the season. Those places are kind of setting themselves in. But at any point, Tottenham could be classic Tottenham and just go blow off somewhere and not win a single game, and could give Chelsea, the final Champions League spot. Please let it happen. I'm praying.
Surely a travesty has never happened.
I'm praying this happens. I would be sad to see them in Europa League. I would still support them, obviously, but it could still happen. Tottenham is Tottenham. It could happen.
Yeah.
Especially with this.
And you have to understand that Tottenham had a chance to win. A pretty serious 3 points this past weekend.
That's right.
Against Brighton and Hove.
That was.
They didn't lose, but they dropped 2 points.
That was another shock. It got set in my head that they lost, but it was a shock enough that
they should have won.
Oh, absolutely. Especially a team like Brighton. No offense to Brighton.
Yeah.
Brighton's still a fantastic team. Go Glenn Murray.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're fun to watch, but yeah, that's they had the win. It was another Harry Kane goal. Good for Harry Kane. Glad to see he's back and healthy and scoring goals because I'm sure England's going to count on him a lot during the World Cup. but I mean, that's 3 points that they should have had, and they left 2 on the table in Brighton. So so yeah, you know, it's Tottenham has a record, you know, almost as significant as Arsenal's record, when they just completely crap the bed and, you know, let a season slip away.
Yeah.
You know, Arsenal's, you know, they're not even doing as well as Chelsea right now.
They're
Arsenal's
4
in
points
6th
behind,
place,
I believe.
you know. They're 6 points behind, but they have a game in hand.
Okay.
But actually, they've played the same amount of matches as Chelsea, so it's still 33 matches. But they're 6 points behind. You know, and Arsenal is, you know, they're one of those, you know, powerhouse teams, you know, that everybody talks about. You know, and right now they're not even in Europa.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of England, see if I can find it. I saw a video
Angoland.
of Joe Hart just kind of butchering. Let's see, it might have been a couple weeks ago. Butchering, just absolutely destroying a save. It was filthy against. I can't remember what team it was. But
I think his confidence is just shot.
I think that's a huge problem, and I think that's one of the reasons why he wasn't picked for England squads in the friendlies that came up recently.
I don't know. I don't know that I would have picked him either. I mean,
I think his
given the
international.
fact that, you know, you pick those guys for the friendlies to kind of get them warmed up for, you know, some serious international competition in Russia. And I hate to say it about Joe Hart because, you know, when I first started watching, you know, English Premier League soccer, Joe Hart was the goalkeeper.
Yeah, he was the staple of the league.
You know, yeah, and you know, Timmy Howard was still playing for Everton
and
back then.
you still had Peter Crouch Petr Cech. Lord, that was
Petr
terrible.
Cech.
At Chelsea, you know, I looked up to those three as a goalkeeper. You know, those were my idols.
And it's, you know, it's just, you know, how far can you fall? I mean, this guy he's back in the starting lineup for West Ham, but even for a while there, he wasn't even their number one pick for West Ham. I mean, he was playing FA Cup stuff, but, you know, league stuff, he was sitting on the bench.
Yes,
He fought his way back into the starting 11, but
it was against Stoke. It was the game against Stoke this week. Joe Hart.
That was a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, it was a 1-1 draw, but it should have been a West Ham win. Well, it was 1-0 because Joe Hart just fumbled a goal and basically gave Peter Crouch a goal. And Andy Carroll coming back. Yeah. I think this was Andy Carroll's first game back in a while. Scored a goal in the 90th minute to tie it back up. But, you know, speaking of English goalkeepers, you know, we talked about Jordan Pickford the other day. You know, he was on the list in the friendlies. Yeah. I don't think he got playing time. You know, what's his future like, especially at Everton? You know, he when he played for Sunderland last year, you know, he was the breakout goalkeeper. He was the star. You know, and he got a lot of press for it. And I think he's still an absolutely fantastic goalkeeper.
I agree.
I don't think he's getting the support he needs at Everton. You know, good for him to, you know, move up, you know, stay in Premiership, so that he can, you know, get, you know, first time minutes in a top tier league and stay at the level he can be. But I think he needs to find a new team again. I think
I don't know necessarily he's got to find a new team. Yeah, when he was at Sunderland, yeah, he was fantastic. I mean, this guy was, you know, every time he made a save, his stock went up. You know, which is fantastic. He was, you know, like you said, you know, he was the breakout goalkeeper. He was one of those stars that everybody was watching, and they couldn't wait for the transfer window, you know, to snatch this cat. And he's at Everton. He's still a really good goalkeeper. I don't know necessarily he's got to move to a different team. I just think Everton has deeper issues than just Jordan Pickford having a bad season. And I think that's really what it comes down to for Jordan Pickford is he's just not having a great season. I think next season's going to be better for him. He'll hope maybe a little bit more relaxed.
I think,
or whatever it is, whatever's going on.
I think next season will be better for Everton in general, just because they sacked Ronald Koeman at the beginning of the season. Obviously that's going to affect the team. Huge. I mean, it's a huge impact on a team to fire the manager right at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but Big Sam's been at the helm for long enough that they should have straightened something out, and it's just not coming together.
Well,
and then you got guys like Wayne Rooney who are getting pissed off because they're getting called off the pitch. If you're not performing, the things aren't happening that they need you to make happen. It's a wise decision to sit you down and put someone else in there and give someone else a chance to make something happen. So when you come off and you're ranting and raving, and then you hit social media, talk about how awful it was that you got subbed out. I'm the great Wayne Rooney. Hey, listen, you're 30-something years old, dude. You need to get comfortable with being subbed out at this point.
You need to start getting
you're lucky you got in the starting 11.
Yeah, you need to start getting comfortable with being a sub.
Right. Right. So like I said, I think there's deeper issues, in that Merseyside squad than just Jordan Pickford's having a bad time.
Yeah.
They're just not consistent. And like I said, Big Sam's been there long enough that they should have fixed something, and it's just not happening. And then you got, and then Big Sam's coming out and, we won the second half, but you still lost 3 points, Jack.
It's not about each half. It's about the full game. You need to get those points on the table.
You need to look at the final score.
Exactly. It's just it's kind of weird. I think they need to take this summer window very seriously, get a lot of work done, kind of beef up their roster a little bit. I think next season will be a very good season for both Everton and Pickford. I'm very excited to see what happens with him. Because he, like I said, he was a standout star. I've been kind of following him because as a goalkeeper, I like seeing some of the new goalkeepers that are breaking onto the scene, making a name for themselves. I'm hoping he can settle in and have a better season next season.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, with the last couple games this season, there's a couple pieces of news that are kind of disappointing. Sergio Aguero will be out for the rest of the season for Manchester United. He's had surgery on his
City.
I can't remember what it was.
It was his knee.
It was his knee. They are very hopeful, and Argentina are hopeful that he will be back before the first World Cup game for Argentina. Which is
that's good news.
Yeah, which is a very quick recovery. The World Cup is right around the corner, here at the end of June, beginning of July, which we are very excited about. I'm starting to see commercials for it finally, which is awesome to see. But I'm hoping to see him in, the World Cup roster because he's a fantastic player. He's a very pivotal player for Manchester City this campaign, and getting them the championship that they deserve. And then another piece of injury news is Alex Vidal, Bayern Munich, will be out the rest of the season.
Arturo Vidal?
Why was I thinking Alex Vidal?
I think it's the same thing. It's a knee surgery.
Yeah, he'll be out for the rest of the season as well, which is again kind of disappointing. But these things happen. Vidal's been a player for a long time for many big teams. He's getting kind of old. We'll see what happens with that. He's
still a dynamic player.
Absolutely. He and what I'm very happy to see is the fact that he's kind of calmed down. He's matured in the last couple of years because he used to be that hothead. But he
always reminded me of the enforcer on a hockey team.
Yeah. They announced the Premier League squad of the year. Where is it? It's right here.
The only one I saw was that Mohamed Salah was and that's a given.
Yeah.
But I think there's got to be, at least a couple of Manchester City players in there.
Yeah, it was.
Kevin De Bruyne has got to be one of them.
It was Mo Salah, Otamendi, Kyle Walker, David De Gea.
Yeah.
Let's see. There was a Chelsea player. There was like one Chelsea player on there. It was. Oh Lord, who was it? This was like a small snippet. I don't think it was like an official post. But it was basically like one Liverpool player, one United player, one Chelsea player, and then the rest of the Manchester City squad.
Yeah.
Basically because that's how
that's not shocking.
Kind of worked this year. I'm very excited to see what happens with the rest of the season, and what happens this summer with transfers that because there's a lot of big transfer names that are saying that they want to decide on their career before the World Cup. So there should be either some re-signings for a lot of big names or even transfers for big names. But I think with that's really the only news we had. Champions League. The Champions League draw happened. There will be games the 24th and 25th, and then May 1st and 2nd. And the draw is Bayern Munich will be playing Real Madrid, and Roma will be playing Liverpool.
And as a Liverpool guy, that was the draw we wanted.
That is absolutely the draw.
And now understand, Roma is kind of marching through Champions League with a big stick.
They just
right now.
knocked out FC Barcelona. That's a huge team to beat.
Yeah. So given the fact that Roma right now is for their giant killing, and not saying that Liverpool is the the giant in the tournament, but I think Roma is the one I think we have a pretty serious chance against. Bayern Munich is just a dominant force, and Madrid. I think would have been a good matchup between Liverpool and Real Madrid.
Oh, absolutely!
But like I said,
fun to watch.
I think the matchup that Liverpool fans really wanted was to draw Roma. I think we have the best chance of getting through with that draw. So I was pretty excited about that. I'm really looking forward to these next couple of matches.
And my early prediction on who goes through from these semifinals into the final, I'm predicting a final of Liverpool versus Bayern Munich.
That's my prediction as well.
I believe the I guess the struggles that Real has had against Juventus is going to kind of be a little daunting factor on them, and the fact that Bayern Munich is just kind of trudges through teams, and they're able to do that with.
They're merciless.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they just the aggregate against Sevilla was only 2-1, but the second game was 0-0, and they didn't really need it. They didn't give up. They didn't almost give up a game. A 3-0 lead or a 4-0 lead. They had the lead, they kept it, and they moved on. That's just kind of how Bayern does it. Unfortunately for you, I think very early prediction. If it gets to that point, I think Bayern will win it.
Even as a Liverpool supporter, I'm not hurt by that. It's going to be a daunting task for Liverpool to get past a team like Bayern Munich. It was just the skill and the talent and the drive and the mindset that the Bayern players have. Frank Ribery, Arjen Robben, Arturo Vidal will be there, but Robert Lewandowski.
Yeah.
That it's a daunting task. So, saying that Munich's going to come out on top, it's not going to blow me away if it happens. Now, that being said, if Liverpool comes out on top, I'm going to do cartwheels, and I might even do them on this show.
If
don't hold me to that, remains to be seen.
Separate conversation. If that happens, I will make sure to post it as a separate video on this channel specifically for you guys. You're welcome.
That'll be a special episode.
Yes, it will. Speaking of episode,
so I'm very excited for those next matchups.
Speaking of episode, I believe this one is coming to an end. I have run out of stuff to talk about. Like I said, there wasn't much going on this week, and what did happen was kind of minuscule. It wasn't big news like what was going on.
Wasn't surprising and shocking. I've
No.
got a couple little things.
Uh-huh.
Give us a couple more minutes. Apparently, they were talking about Pep Guardiola, and with the summer transfer window coming up, he's apparently been given £100 million as his war chest for the summer transfer window.
Wow.
With that being said, they are also maybe facing a transfer ban until summer of 2019, which will eliminate them from transferring players to or from for 2 full transfer windows.
Wow.
It'll be the summer transfer window and the January transfer window.
Do you know what they did? I didn't hear about this.
They apparently are waiting for the Court of Arbitration for Sports to make a final decision. There's some kid, Benjamin Garay, whose last club was Velez Sarsfield. I don't know where that is. I've never heard of this kid. But apparently they illegally contacted him when he was 15 years old. And then within days after his 16th birthday, they signed him to the academy. And Sarsfield apparently filed a complaint. It's been reviewed. Manchester City has been found guilty, I guess, and they've asked for arbitration. So now the CAS, the Court for Arbitration in Sports, has to make a final decision. And my understanding is when they make that decision, it's apparently a final decision. There's no, if you ask for arbitration, you have to take their ruling and go with it.
Wow.
So depending on what they find, like I said, City may be kind of, now granted they have a pretty serious squad to play with until the summer of 2019.
But I mean, they've got players that are
bringing
old.
in fresh legs.
And they might be retiring within those next 2. So that's everything you have. That's everything I have.
That's pretty much it. I mean, just a little transfer stuff, and it's all rumor right now. The transfer window is not even open yet. But apparently, Wolverhampton's been promoted, so they're looking to spend a little bit of loot. They're actually looking at Benik Afobe.
Might be good for looking.
I think he's there. I think he's there on loan, and I think they're looking to make it permanent.
Might be good for them to look at Solomon Rondon.
Sure. Not a terrible idea
because
he's got a non-relegation clause.
So he has to stay in the Premier League. That'll be interesting to see what happens to him.
It's good work if you can get it. But yeah, and I think that's really it. So I don't really have much more. Like I said, it's all just kind of little hints and tidbits. There was a cool thing about, and we talk a lot about Mohamed Salah, but he said that he would give up all of the personal little awards he's gotten, Player of the Month and the PFA Player of the Month and all this stuff. Said he'd give up every single one of them if Liverpool could win Champions League. He said that's the only thing he cares about.
I will say I am hoping Liverpool can win Champions League. I'm rooting for them right now.
Oh, so am I.
Well, I hope so.
So am I.
Other than that,
I promised last one. The International Champions Cup schedule has been announced. They are playing in several cities around the United States. So for you local folks with Thomas and I, they are playing. There are some matches at the Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. So look it up wherever you're at. International Champions Cup. It's big clubs from around the world. Premier League, Bundesliga, the Italian leagues. I think PSG is involved in this one as well. So you got the French leagues.
Yeah.
So look it up. It's a fantastic atmosphere. We went a couple years ago, watched Liverpool and AC Milan,
and they're all just friendlies.
Fantastic.
They're all just friendly games.
Oh yeah, it's just friendly. It's preseason stuff.
It's
getting folks warmed up. So check it out.
There was an El Clasico last year in Florida, which was big news last year.
There was.
There was an El Clasico before the season even started. With that, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you check us out on social media. Check out our shirt shop. I have new designs that will be going in very soon. We have a very close friend of ours that helped make designs. And then check out our sticker shop. Those designs will be added to the sticker shop as well. And then check out Macrophonic MC. He's another really good friend of ours. He does our intro, outro music. And I think that's it. I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in once again, and we'll see y'all next time.
Still holding on to Wi-Fi like Obama to a white guys. Temper in the center of when they're filled with some white lies. But that's politics, gets colder than the wildest state. There's so many multitasking, they multi-taxing in spite of me. But I might go big, fighting it, standing aside and timing it. Go ahead and peak my temper, I'll meditate and then write it. Time to fit my mode.